Couple of protocols. First of all of the panelists are the commissioners and staff. You're free to speak as you wish. You also have a raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. You can click on if you want to do that, or you can hit the space bar and hold it down. It'll also allow you to speak off of mute. For everybody who's an attendee, I see most of your names listed. If you have a phone number, I'm going to have to call you by the last 4 digits of your phone number when you raise your hand to speak. If you're on Zoom, of course, you can use the raise hand feature. And if you're calling in via a phone number, you want to hit *9, which will allow you to raise your hand and be acknowledged. When I do acknowledge an attendee, then I will turn on their mic and their camera, and then they will be able to address the commission directly. I have one hand up right now. It's Linda Draper. Linda, do you have a question before we start? You're muted. You'll have to come off of mute. All right, we're going to move forward.
I'm sorry, I finally got on here. Okay. At some point, I need to make a correction to some information in your packet whenever you think that would be advisable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
With those instructions, I also will let everybody know that since we've been on Zoom, I sort of function as the quasi chair in terms of running the meeting, but Mr. Leverns is in fact the chair, and he will intervene whenever he feels necessary to accomplish goals. So with that, I am going to ask Joy to call the roll.
Chair Leverance,
Here.
Commissioner Bolin, Commissioner Connolly,
Present.
Commissioner Kimmelshoe. I'm going to mark him present as I know he's trying to get in. Commissioner McGreehan.
Here.
I'm here now.
Okay.
It looks like it says it says I'm Jill Bonderson, but I'm really not.
Commissioner Sharman,
Here.
Commissioner Shepard,
Here.
alternate Commissioner Steve Betts,
Here.
Larry Bradley, Bruce Johnson, Deborah Lucero,
Here.
staff, Steve Lucas,
Here.
Jill Broderson, Shannon Costa, and LAFCo counsel, Scott Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
Joy, I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. We will now move on to item 2.1 of the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of our June 3rd, 2021 meeting. Is there any corrections? If not, a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Big seconds.
All right, we have a first and a second on that motion. Joy, would you call the roll, please? Joy, you're muted.
All right, Chair Leverance,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner Kimmelshoe,
Aye.
Commissioner McGreehan,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharman,
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard.
Aye.
Thank you.
Right. Next up on the agenda is noticed public hearings, which is item 3.1, LAFCo file 2106, City of Oroville, Feather Avenue Annexation number 2. For those that are on the call that are not commissioners, just so you know, we will first have a presentation from Ms. Costa. The commission will then ask any questions of her, of staff, and then I will open it up to the public for comment on this item. So Shannon, if you would proceed, please.
Thank you. So good morning, commissioners. This is a proposal made by the city of Orrville on behalf of the property owner to annex 2 parcels and road rights of way to the city of Orrville for full municipal services. The annexation would support development of the site with a 97 lot single family subdivision. So the territory involves 2 parcels. They're located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Feather Avenue and 18th Street in the Thermalito area. Of the approximately 26 acre site, 23 acres would be developed and the remaining 3 would remain preserved for possible oak tree mitigation or passive park facilities. Portions of 18th Street from Feather Avenue to Orrville are already within the city's jurisdiction. So as part of this annexation, we'd be cleaning up some of those gaps and take the full length of 18th from Feather Avenue to Orrville, as well as the full width of Feather Avenue along the annexation territory. The site would continue to be served by several special districts, including Thermalito Water and Sewer District for domestic water and sewer services, and Feather River Park and Recreation District, but would be removed from CSA 164, which is Butte County Animal Control, and the Butte Resource Conservation District, which only serves unincorporated parcels. The city of Orrville would extend full municipal services to the site, including police and fire, although through their existing automatic aid agreement, CAL FIRE would continue to be the first to respond in this area, as they are now. So several comments have been received during this entire process, many to the city of Orrville, and then since the date of publishing our public notice, we've received several comments. Those are all included in your agenda packet. And then since the packet was distributed, we did receive additional comments from Ms. Kathy Brazil, whose comments are in your packet. Most of those new comments were in regards to the 2008 project that was considered at this site, and no new information was provided. And then yesterday afternoon, we received the letter from the California Wildlife Foundation, which you would have received this morning. They cite concerns over the city's oak tree mitigation ordinance. And then, so in conclusion, this project substantially conforms to LAFCo policies and represents a logical extension of the city's boundaries. The territory is uninhabited and has 100% landowner consent to annex. So therefore, staff recommends that this commission adopt the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring program prepared by the city of Orrville, and adopt the resolution to annex the property and waive protest proceedings. So with that, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And I know that city staff is available to answer any questions you might have as well.
I have a question for you, Shannon. Given the late receipt of this California Wildlife Federation's letter input, does LAFCo staff have any position on that input relative to that?
I was able to discuss this morning with City of Orrville staff. The letter kind of states some confusion over how many inches would be mitigated. And I think the city's ordinance is pretty clear that for every inch of oak tree that's cut, 2 inches need to be replaced. So I'm not really sure, the City of Orrville staff in our discussions this morning were confident in their mitigations and that they don't have any confusion over just how many inches need to be mitigated. So those mitigation measures will be implemented, and the oak tree ordinance required by the city will be imposed on this project during the final map process.
Okay, thank you for that clarification on behalf of LAFCO staff.
Yeah, this is Carl Everins. I have a good question about clarification. If you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
The original staff report had clearly points out that 18th Street is supposed to be included all the way to Feather River Boulevard, or excuse me, Oradam Boulevard from Feather Avenue. But I think you sent out a supplemental map because the first map doesn't show that all of 18th is in fact being annexed, but in fact, that's the case, is it not?
It is the case. So you can see from the supplemental map that I provided that the city's jurisdiction over 18th Street sort of jogs out south of that subdivision that's being developed. And after some discussions based on Public Works comments from the County of Butte and with the city of Orville, we decided that it is most logical and makes most sense to clean up the rest of 18th Street and include it as all of it into the city's jurisdiction. So the supplemental map that you received not only includes the full length of it, but the full length of Feather Avenue.
Yeah, the staff report on page 3 says that that's what's going to happen. It just that the map that was attached didn't show that portion of the street being included, but your supplemental map did. I just want to get that clarified that the proposed resolution that LAFCo is being asked to pass includes that.
Correct.
And also, going back to the point Mr. McGrean raised about this late letter concerning the trees. Obviously, Orville, as the lead agency, dealt with the environmental review of this and put together the mitigation. And as a staff member, you're satisfied that the proposed mitigation measures are consistent with some of the concerns, may not meet their view of the mitigation, but at least deals with the issue that they've raised.
Yes, I'm confident that their proposal meets the city of Orville's oak tree mitigation ordinance.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Are there any other commissioner comments or questions? I'm hearing and seeing none, so I am going to open up the public session. And first, I want to ask if there's any representative from the city of Orville who would like to add anything to this discussion. And I'm not seeing any hands going up from city staff. So I'm going to go to the first person up I see is Linda Draper. Linda, I have turned you on. You are now live. You can take off your microphone, turn off. There you go. You're with us.
Okay, thank you. I want to set the record straight on some information that you have on there on the voting that occurred at the Orville City Council meeting on December 15th, 2020. And in your packet, it says this resolution was passed and adopted on December 15th by the following vote. Ayes, Smith, Pittman, Goodson, Draper, and Reynolds. Noes, none. Absent, Hatley and Thompson, both recused. Signed, Chuck Reynolds, Scott Huber, and the city clerk. Now, the problem with that is it's completely false. And Janet Goodson and I were very vocal and gave many reasons why we were against this annexation. And we both voted no on December 15th, 2020. And that is easily accessible on the video on YouTube of the city council meeting at 1 hour, 20 minutes and 49 seconds in. So this was not a unanimous pass by the city council. And because there were 2 recusals and 2 votes for no, the only yes votes on this were Smith and Pittman and Reynolds. 3. And so I just wanted to make sure that this record is clarified for the public to know that. Thank you.
Question for Scott Brown. What do we do?
Just if I could, just for clarity before you speak, Scott, Ms. Drapers, I believe you're referring to Exhibit C in the staff report, which is the resolution that was provided by the city of Oroville. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, and on that resolution, Scott, on page 4, the back says where the vote was. So that's where she's referring to, and she is accurately describing what is being presented to us, but that's what came directly to us from the city. So carry on.
Okay. Well, what happened, I mean, it's good to have it corrected, but it doesn't change the action of the city.
Right.
So that's not really an issue before us today.
No,
What is before us today is the letter from the biologists and whether that's information that how LAFCo should deal with that.
well, my
And
concern was accuracy and transparency for the public.
yes, and that's very good.
Thank you.
But to deal with this, the environmental issue that has been raised in the letters, please note that it's not just the oak mitigation that the letter raises. It raises significant issues on endangered species. However, the negative declaration for this project was adopted, I think in 2020. And that was the time at which this group should have challenged the determinations of the city of Oroville. By not doing so, they basically waived any complaints as to that document itself. The only grounds for modification of that document that LAFCo can consider is if there is evidence of significant new impacts that were not addressed in the previous documents. And at such a level that the commission believes they require a supplemental EIR. So the question for you raised by this letter is, do you believe it raises new information that would require further analysis in a supplemental EIR?
As I understand, this is Carl Evans again. As I understand what you're saying is, and I'm certainly aware that the complaint or the letter is certainly not timely, but the document, the mitigated negative declaration that the city adopted clearly talks about the issue raised by the letter and deals with in some detail as to their suggested mitigation of this. So that's why I pursued that, because it appeared that the city did consider it and considered it with adequate mitigation to deal with the concerns being expressed.
And that would justify a finding that there is no new information that would require a supplemental EIR.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Linda. The next person on our list is someone by the name of Cloud Watcher. I'm going to allow you to talk and be seen. If you would please introduce yourself by your name and unmute yourself. Cloud Watcher, you are live. If you would unmute yourself and identify.
Hi, hello,
Yes, you're on.
hello, thank you. My name is Kathy, and you have some documents in your packet from me, some letters of concern. And first, I would like to say that please don't rush me through my speaking. I feel that there's a volatile aspect going on in the community where people are being labeled. If you're a concerned citizen, you're an activist, you're anti-housing. That is not true. It only pits us against each other. I'm asking for LAFCo to deny this annexation based on the transparency of Oroville. There was a supposed public hearing on September 8th, but there are no minutes for that meeting, and I want to know who was present at that meeting. The public comment was also open during the evacuation warning when the city of Oroville was closed for the North Complex fire. So I believe that limited public participation. The applications and the information that are submitted in this dance between old information and new information. So when you say the mitigated negative declaration is current, did they just change the date on it? That's my concern. I would like to say there is new information that all along in the reports of the wetlands for Ruddy Creek that this proposed project plans to discharge water into. Besides the Clean Water Act, there is depressional season wetlands that were never reported from the Army Corps of Engineer. I use the Freedom of Information Act to get that information. And there is documented jurisdictional waters of the US acreage 0.12 and the 0.039 depressional season wetlands were never reported, only the 0.08 intermittent drainage. Ruddy Creek is part of the Wyandotte groundwater subbasin, and it is a perennial wetland. There are documented evidence proving that, which usually means it's groundwater fed. So again, it sits in a FEMA floodplain. This project plans to have a stream bed alteration agreement, which states trenching to emplace outfall pipe with cubic yards of cement, grouted cobble placed in upstream and downstream banks of Ruddy Creek. I believe the environmental damage to Ruddy Creek stream bed, its waters, wetlands, ecosystem, plants, and wildlife will be irreparable. And I would like to know if the city of Oroville will be liable for damages to downstream county properties. At this point, the city is trying to put in a project that will drain into county properties. So the city wants its little pocket of development that is not similar on 3 sides to the county properties that exist. And they want to drain it into county. So then they'll leave the county liable for any impacts. I don't believe that the thorough environmental documents were updated. I don't believe that it's the county's fault or the city's solution to fix a FEMA floodplain. When you say that new information needs to be presented, well, if you're using old reports, how are you going to get new information? And when you quote that the mitigated negative declaration has been done by the city, why does the city of Oroville want to give the applicant 15,000 SBC grant funds to defray costs when they state on page 15 in their environmental review, the Oroville staff has reviewed the initial mitigated negative declaration and finds no compelling grounds to require supplementing the environmental documents. Okay, so right there, they say the documents are good, but let's give $15,000 to the applicant. There are open ordinances for illegal dumping on this property. So that the property owner has not been a good neighbor. When they talk about using the Lot A for a park, where are the comments from Feather River Parks and Recreation on that? Or to mitigate by planting oak trees? That is in a FEMA floodplain. Okay, they want to put a detention pond. When they were talking about it in the city planning and city council meetings, they were talking about how a child can drown in 2 inches of water. And so this cement pond, detention pond, will be, quote, in the park next to a FEMA floodplain. It doesn't seem like a very family-friendly place to put a park. So I feel like, you know, due to the transparency alone and to the letter that Linda just mentioned, city didn't accurately say how it was voted. It's very concerning. And I think for the county or LAFCo to hand over these parcels to the city when they only want to take 18th Street, they don't want to address Feather, which goes along a big portion of this development. It's very concerning to me. And I think that there is new information if you focus completely on the fact they didn't report the depressional seasonal wetlands. And that is documented in the Army Corps of Engineers report, wetland delineation report from 2006. And the city says they're going to ask the Army Corps to, you know, verify the wetlands. Well, there's no letters included that was actually sent out. I want to see those documents. And like this letter that you're mentioning, some wildlife agency, if they're asking for an EIR in 2021, when you're considering a project that will drain waters into a flood basin, this is a serious issue. Okay, it's not to be taken lightly. There's no reason that the applicant cannot develop with the county and say put maybe 2 houses per acre. They want to cram in 97 units, and some of them will be 2-story, onto potentially 19 acres because a portion of that is not buildable and drops into the FEMA floodplain. So it's not the county's fault that it's a FEMA floodplain, but it is the county's responsibility to plan smartly and to consider environmental consequences. And if this is a part of the Ruddy Creek is part of the Wyandotte groundwater subbasin, then talking about draining a huge development into it is very alarming, okay? Because that drain off water will have pollution in it. And once it's built, who will maintain it, who will supervise it, and who will monitor the waters that flow in? So thank you for listening. And it's a serious issue kind of being swept in under the cover of COVID. But first off, where is the September 8th public hearing minutes and who was present at that meeting by the city? And I'm a concerned citizen, so please don't label me anything else.
Thank you, Ms. Brazil. I will just answer a couple things quickly, and then I'm going to ask the City of Oroville representative on the line to speak. But just for the record, the application was circulated to all affected agencies, including the county, Thermalito Water and Sewer District, as well as other overlying agencies. And the end result of that is we had received no negative comments back concerning the drainage or how it's to be done. The only comment we received back from the county was related to the road, Feather Avenue, and some issues there. So just so you know that, other agencies that were just mentioned were notified, including Feather River Park and Rec, none of which had any concerns with the project. With that, I am going to ask Wes Irvin, who's the City of Oroville planner, to speak and answer some of those questions or address those questions if you can. Wes, you are live. If you would unmute yourself. Thank you.
All right, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There have been some questions raised about the mitigated negative declaration, whether it was a new document or a rewrite of the 2008 mitigation or mitigated neg deck. It is a new document, was a new document created. So all of the environmental impacts were reviewed anew, including the oak woodland mitigation. And we believe that the city appropriately developed and approved an oak mitigation process with an in lieu fee. The water quality and stormwater drainage were adequately addressed by the project design. And if the commission has any additional questions, I believe there's also the project engineer available to answer questions. But in fact, all of the storm water drainage will be handled on site via pipes under the streets and via a French drain. There is no longer a detention basin proposed. So all of the storm drainage will be dealt with. As far as the $15,000, that was used to offset the cost of some additional environmental documentation. It was granted to the city for exactly that purpose under an SB2 grant from the California Department of Housing and Community Development. So we use that $15,000 appropriately to defray some of the costs of the environmental review. Other than that, if there are, and the September 8th planning or public hearing was a planning commission meeting, and record of that, a full record of that's available online.
Thank you, Mr. Urban. Do either the city engineer or the project engineer wish to respond? Please raise your hand if you do.
Go ahead,
Steve West.
Okay, Wes Gilbert, you're alive. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. And I would just like to, build on what Wes Urban said, that the original proposal for the subdivision included detention basins, a detention basin down in that lot A, which is the park site and everything, with a discharge, with a, a pipe discharge into Ruddy Creek. Prior to this planning commission meeting, we opted to change that to a subsurface storm drain detention retention percolation system, so that the project drainage will be basically treated through the leach trench system, and then all of the additional runoff from the development of the property will be percolated away. And so that no increase in the project site runoff will occur. And there will be no above ground structures at all on this.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Would any of the commissioners like to ask either of the engineers or the city planner any other further questions? Okay.
Steve, if I
Where's that coming from?
beg your indulgence, I need to make a correction. The September 8th meeting was not a planning commission public hearing. It was a neighborhood meeting that was held in the council chambers. And a couple of members of the public attended, but minutes are not required for that.
Thank you. Again, one last chance. Does the commission, anybody on the commission have a question for any of the city staff representatives? Okay, if you folks could just say.
Steve,
Go ahead,
this is Deborah. I just have a question about the point that was brought up about the FEMA maps. Because this is a consideration that is ongoing in the county. Our maps, I'm not sure what maps were used, but they were utilizing maps from the 80s, which we all know are out of date. And I'm just wondering if the most recent FEMA maps were used, or what was the date of the FEMA maps?
Mr. Gilbert, if you're still on the line, could you answer that question, please?
Yes,
The date of the
FEMA
FEMA
that we
maps.
used were dated January 6th of 2011, if I remember right.
2011, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I just want to point out for the record, that's long before the climate change that we're experiencing now. And we all know that the floods of 2019 had a deep effect on our county. So, I'm just pointing that out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I am going to go back to the public comment period as we are still in it. And I have a hand up from.
Excuse me, Steve, I have one question for the city.
Yes, sir.
Which is the important piece of new information of the last speaker was her claim that areas of wetlands were not properly recorded in the initial study, and that this is new information that that LAFCo must consider. So I would ask the city, did they consider the additional areas of wetlands that the speaker spoke of?
Is either the city staff or project engineer prepared to answer that question?
Yes, this is Wes Urban, the planner. The wetland area for the proposed project is the lower area, the parcel A. And that was, I believe, appropriately addressed there will be no development in that area other than a future city park, potentially. And the rest of the development is way above out of the floodplain.
Thank you, Wes. Now I'm going to go to Sam Abshire.
Hello?
There? Yes,
Hey, this is,
you are live and we can hear you.
all right, thank you. This is Sam Abshire, and I'm calling in regards to this project. The owners, the developers, they come in, they don't live here, they do their deed and leave. The neighbors are left with the consequences. We, the people, are not happy with the city council and how they process business behind closed doors. Everything seems to be behind closed doors. And you, as the Planning Commission, need to take a closer look into these decisions now and for the future. Just because it doesn't affect you, it affects all of us out here. It is very disheartening, the take on all this. Then you decide the outcome of the council, which I know is not easy. It seems like the will of the people is gone. I just know you guys need to take in all the water. I know you guys do this, the traffic. When was the last time a traffic analyst was done? You know, was it done recently when everything was under lockdown? Or what about now? Schools hopefully are open. I'm just a concerned citizen about this annexation. Every time you turn around, they're taking another piece of Thermalito pie. And I just don't think it's good. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Are there any other public comments out there? I am looking at the attendee list and I do not see any other raised hands. So I am now going to close the public session and confine comments to staff in the commission. I will let Mr. Leverins begin.
I think under the circumstances, in order to focus discussion, it would be appropriate to have a motion one way or the other on this resolution. So I would consider a motion so that we can focus our discussion. Anyone want to make a motion one way or the other about to either approve or disapprove the application? That may solve the problem.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is
Hear a
there-
second? Did I hear a second?
Yeah, this is Todd Kimmelshaw. I'll second it.
Okay, I just think it's appropriate that we have a motion, and now we have a motion to approve. I'd like to make some initial comments, if I'm in the order of things. Projects like this always create issues, some of which may not be resolved. But it does appear that the city of Oroville has tried to deal with all of the issues that they were required to deal with. I'm a great believer that the drainage problem, to the extent that it exists and has been discussed in the environmental documents, will have to be resolved to some extent with the conditions imposed by the city during the construction of on-site and off-site improvements. The environmental document can't solve those to the extent that there are drainage issues. I know that there was a concern about liability. Clearly, if the project proves to create or cause more water to do harm in certain areas, I'm certainly familiar with lawsuits. The real issue is, has the applicant and then the city done what it needs to do to allow this project to go forward? Our attorney has, for the most part, made sure that we have not neglected what might be new information. And in fact, it appears that the city's documents deal with or have dealt with the issues. There are a lot of issues about growth, leapfrog development, all of which are policy issues which fortunately or unfortunately, initially were resolved by the city of Oroville. We have to take a hard look at that, but it does appear that this area is consistent with the type of growth that the city of Oroville wants to put forth, and is not inconsistent with the tenets that LAFCo is required to look at. I'm concerned about the temporary fire ability of the city of Oroville, but I'm prepared to live with the fact that they have voted, again, not necessarily unanimously, to provide CAL FIRE so that they can move forward, saying they can provide fire coverage. That hasn't been really discussed that much, but that's of concern to me, because I don't like to see areas develop that can't provide a full range of service. So those are my comments.
Mr. Connolly, if you would unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I have concerns. We're adding to a flag again, and I don't know if police and fire, that burden's going to fall on the county, or is that adequately addressed? And I do have, although I'm inclined to support development because we need the housing so that in a dramatic manner, I hope that we change the record, that, as was pointed out by Ms. Draper, and that somebody can tell me what we're going to do about the police and fire out there and why we're still adding to a flag. I thought we were going to have a quarter at least before we added to the flag. What happened?
I'll take a stab at that, Commissioner Connolly. And I don't disagree with you that Oroville has grown out, and the flag that you speak of is Highway 162, and it going west to Highway 99. Now, a good portion of that obviously is in the city already, and we appreciate that this grows on that extension, if you will. And the city has been aware of and has developed multiple annexation plans to look at that corridor along 162, as well as the Thermalito area in general. So I'm not arguing that you're incorrect, just that this is a gradual process that they have been annexing these projects. It's not probably perfect, but there's nothing illegal about it. We could certainly, if you felt so inclined, write a letter directed by the commission to the city of Oroville indicating your concerns, if those are the commission's concerns as well, clearly indicating to them that we want to see a different approach moving forward, if that helps you get to a better place.
Well, I've never, we had promises of a fire station at the airport. I don't believe that's ever happened. And disproportionate amount of these calls end up on the Butte County and the Sheriff's Department, because it's basically isolated from the community. And we know the law is passed that we don't allow these types of flag annexation, yet we're adding to it again. So I question that. I don't know how firm we should be, but in my mind, they should at least take the corridor. You know what I mean? So it's part of the community. And I don't think the core of Thermalito is ready to be annexed, truthfully. So those are my thoughts, concerns.
Thank you. Any other commissioner?
Yeah, I'll speak up. This is Todd Kimmelshoe. I represent the Thermalito area as a board of supervisor. And I also have concerns, as does Supervisor Connolly, as to the flag situation. I don't necessarily think this is something that should continue until that's resolved. I do agree with Carl Leverins that now that CAL FIRE is hopefully going to be the fire department for the city of Oroville, I feel much more comfortable with this annexation and this development. I just want to go on the record as saying that most parts of Thermalito are not appropriate to be annexed. I walked this neighborhood several times during my campaign. most of the area of Thermalito should probably not be annexed into the city of Warville. But this piece of property, if you walk by it and you see it, it's appropriate. Right now, unfortunately, there's nothing on it other than some junk, and that's not appropriate either. If I lived in the community, I wouldn't want all that junk and you know, debris on the property. I do believe it could be very similar to the property across from 18th Street. That's an excellent subdivision. Walked it a couple different times, and I think that this would be a great addition to the city of Orville and even to the little community of Thermalito if the development is done correctly. But again, I'm conflicted. I think the vast majority of Thermalito probably should not be annexed into the future, but this piece of property is very much needed for housing, as Supervisor Connolly said, and we do need the housing in Butte County, and I think it can be done in a way that is advantageous to the area. And I do want to thank Supervisor Lucero for bringing up the flood issue. I am confident that they have mitigated the situation, and those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kimmelshoe. Are there any other comments from the commission? I'm not seeing any. So we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Leverins, are we prepared to call the roll?
Excuse
If
me.
no one else has anything else to say, it would be appropriate.
Well, I do have something to add to the motion. I think the motion should include a finding that there has not been substantial new information submitted to the commission that is not already addressed in the mitigated negative declaration of the city, and therefore the commission finds no basis for requiring a supplemental EIR for this project.
Mr. Connolly, you made that motion, if I remember. And so is that a friendly amendment? Is that acceptable?
Yes,
Mr. Kimmelshoe, you seconded it. Do you agree?
everything he said.
I accept that.
Thank you, sir. And with that, I will ask Joy to call the roll, please.
Chair Leverance,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland, now that I see you're here. Commissioner Boland,
Yes, sorry for being late.
that's okay. Commissioner Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner Kimmelshoe,
Aye.
Commissioner McGreehan,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharman,
Yes.
Commissioner Shepherd.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We will now move on to item 4, which is our regular agenda. We have nothing removed from consent, so the first item up will be 4.2, discussion of drought issues. And that's going to be me. This is actually fairly simple, I believe, in terms of what we want to do. Real quickly, just to summarize the brief memo you received is we all know that we have drought conditions and we're starting to see wells, private domestic wells going dry. Some of those folks have been able to obtain water from some of our water providers in this county, but there are some hurdles. So just really quickly, South Feather Water and Power Agency, Paradise Irrigation District have actual systems in place to allow haulers to come collect potable water. So infrastructure wise, they are ready to go, and they both have adequate treated water in which to share or sell, if you will. Thermalito Water and Sewer District also is interested and has provided domestic water to individuals, although they don't have the same quite of infrastructure set up, but they nonetheless do allow for water hauling. What we've discovered recently is through a dry well that we had here in Oroville, is that South Feather, PID and these other districts are somewhat restricted in what they can do. So the State Water Board establishes a place of use boundary for these districts that basically says that's where they are permitted to serve water in this case. Also, we have a LAFCo sphere of influence boundary, and those two boundaries don't always are not identical. That's something that we continue work on all the time. But the upshot is LAFCO has the authority to allow extensions outside of these agency boundaries in emergencies, such as a dry well. We are now having to work with State Water Board to find some relaxation of their rules that will make this easier and more convenient to occur for both the water haulers and the agencies themselves. And I want to make no mistake about this situation. This is for potable water for dry wells. This is not water for irrigation purposes. This is not water that they want to send up to the foothills. This is not water that is intended to go to cannabis grows. This is simply an opportunity to allow people with dry wells to obtain potable water in significant amounts, somewhere between 500 to 3,000 gallons at a time, which depending on the amount is roughly several weeks to a month's supply of water. So we're not talking about huge sums of water. So what we would like to do and what we're asking the commission is to authorize me to move forward with working with the 3 districts, the county, as well as the State Water Board and LAFCo, who is also involved because this exact same situation is being experienced throughout the state, perhaps even in Glenn County. So we want to work at the state level with State Water Board, and I also want to work locally with our water managers from our districts. Having spoke to all of them this in the past week, they are very much desire us to come up with a format that we can follow. And my tentative idea is to form some sort of a blanket authorization for which we would set some restrictions and some conditions, and then a expiration date, if you will, which is tied to the drought proclamation from the governor. So in other words, we will give them essentially a pre-approval process that they can go through. They don't have to do it one at a time, so that these individual well owners don't have to put out a lot of money either through LAFCo or through the districts. And then those water provisions would then terminate at such time the drought proclamation terminates. I don't know if this is the perfect solution. Ideally, we would like to have pipes extended and these folks permanently connected. But as I'm sure you're all aware, a mile of pipe costs a lot of money. And in some cases, there would need to be 10 or 20 miles of pipe. So the short fix is really only hauling water to these people on a temporary basis. So I'm looking for commission comments and direction if you would like your staff to pursue this issue.
I think it's an excellent suggestion, quite frankly, and I hope the commission endorses you to proceed.
Yeah, this is Carl Evans. I see this as a first cousin to the policy we already have in septic systems that fail. It seems to me that if we can authorize the staff to approve a program with these districts to temporarily say that people that are getting this potable water are part of the emergency district, which would, I guess, avoid hopefully this rule that the State Water Board has, because we don't want to get in a fight, obviously, with the state, but at the same time, I can't foresee that if what we're doing is providing on a short-term basis water for people that need it, I can envision that the state might take a rigid position, but hopefully they won't. But I think that if you can adopt a policy consistent with what we do with septic systems, that makes good sense.
Thank you.
I've reached out to Assemblyman Gallagher and his staff, and he's contacted at least one of the water districts. And if need be, we could maybe have to go through the legislature and get a temporary stay if the water board is not cooperative. And I want to thank you and the staff of LAFCo for helping a gentleman get an emergency annexation so he could receive water when his well went dry. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts from the commission?
I'd just like to say that bravo to you and to the commission for moving forward with this. I think it's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard, is that you can't take water out of the district to another district. I mean, we're in a crisis here and people need water. And the fact that they can't get water from South Feather and take it to Biggs or Gridley or Durham or something like that is just, excuse me, but asinine. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and we need to move forward as quickly as possible.
Steve, this is Deborah. I just have a question on this.
Yes, ma'am.
How does LAFCo document these requests, or how will it, I guess?
So our policy already establishes that. So for instance, with a septic system, we need something from a pumper who tells us they've inspected that tank and it's failed. We could also get confirmation from environmental health if that is available. So similar with a dry well, we would need to see either from the district some evidence of a dry well, or the environmental health department. But most likely with a dry well, and Mr. Connolly can weigh in. I know he knows a lot about well drilling, but you know, to have a well driller come out and tell you your well is dry, I don't know that's any better than the homeowner opening up the tap and seeing mud come out. So we may need to do some sort of self-attestation as to that. I have not gone through all the mechanics of that yet, Ms. Lucero, but maybe Bill, if you'd like to weigh in on the feasibility.
I'm just curious. I mean, I applaud these efforts also. I'm just wondering what the process is, you know, and it sounded like you already had an established one. So that's what I was curious about.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to point out that really you don't need a well driller. I mean, they're a couple years out. You would need a pump company. There's several around. I'm related to one, so I'm not going to mention any names. But these pump companies that take care of maintenance and installing of new pumps and so forth, pressure tanks, that was who you should have go check them out.
Okay.
And then there is a personal responsibility on the other side of this. I mean, these are new times. I mean, people, if you're depending on a well, you're probably going to have to extend the depth of your well, especially in foothills and fractured rock. I mean, some of these wells are very low in volume as it is, and as the drought continues, they're going to be worse. And so you have to extend your well down to get capacity. And again, unfortunately, from what I hear, the well drillers are 2 years out, year and a half to 2 years.
I would also, this is Carl Evans again, I would think just a signed declaration from the homeowner. He's not about to haul water if he can get water out of his well. I mean, it's just that simple.
Oh, Carl, that doesn't work because there's water being used for other activities such as growing cannabis, as mentioned, and those guys test immediately. So we've got to have a little bit of teeth in it to make sure it's going to domestic use.
Some legitimacy. Okay, I'm with you.
Well, assuming that the commission authorizes staff to proceed as Steve has presented, I have trust and faith in Steve and the staff that you'll come up with the necessary documentation requirements to assist. So with that said, I'd like to make a motion that the commission authorize you to proceed as recommended.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Joy, are you prepared to call the roll? We're keeping you busy.
Chair Leverance,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner Kimmelshoe,
Aye.
Commissioner McGrahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Sherman,
Yes.
and Commissioner Shepherd.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I will now move on to item 4.3 of our agenda, Paradise Irrigation District Options Study. That will also be me. Your memo is fairly short, and the reason for the item being on your agenda is I prepared a letter and sent that out to the stakeholder group. So a quick background, as I've been reporting now for the better part of it's probably been over a year. Mr. Bolin probably feels like it's been forever, and Mr. McGrean. But nonetheless, the option study is progressing, and by and large, it's been a good discussion, a lot of options identified, but my continued concern, and I think it's a concern of everybody in the stakeholder group, is that the State Water Board continues to use terms that I don't believe accurately reflect what it is we are hoping to accomplish. And essentially, overall, what I think the stakeholder group is most interested in is maintaining our water locally, and that those decisions remain local decisions, whether that be at the Paradise Irrigation District, the Town of Paradise, the County of Butte. These are decisions we need to make, not the State Water Board. And when they use loaded words in their presentations, such as consolidations, that means something completely different to the State Water Board, because they have the authority under the law to force consolidations. And what that means to them is a lot different than what it means to us. For LAFCo to go through that process, we have all the stakeholders involved. We hold local public meetings. We confer with the districts, and we try to find that cooperative compromise that works and meets LAFCo law and policy. The State Water Board, on the other hand, can just dictate essentially to districts, whether they're like or not, whether one's private or public. It doesn't matter. They can force those districts to cooperatively share resources and or one take over the other. I do not want to be the canary in the coal mine, but by the same token, I think that it's important for me to sing loud that I'm very concerned about this process and what the State Water Board intends. So that was the reason for my letter. I'm not asking you for anything more this morning other than to advise you of what I've been up to. And if you think I'm overstepping my bounds, please tell me.
I don't think you're overstepping your bounds. It's an overreach because of the problem water districts in the San Joaquin Valley in particular, and maybe some in the LA Basin out towards Santa Barbara a little bit, where instead of trying to come through the LAFCo process, this is something we discuss at the state level LAFCo all the time, and use this as a resource and actually study a consolidation or dissolving of an inept district. They've tried to legislate it. And so we're spending a great deal of time at the state LAFCo level trying to stop this blanket approach to it. And we should be cautious about it because we're not water poor. We don't have terribly underserved districts. We have cones of depression around Chico and Durham, but overall we're pretty healthy, and we don't want them to come in and tell us what to do. And I fully support your effort.
Yeah, I think.
And I do too. Go ahead.
No, that's all right.
Go ahead, Greg.
I just want to say I appreciate your efforts too, and yeah, the consolidation. I mean, if there is one, it's got to be with Paradise and stay on the ridge. That's very, very important to us, and actually it's weighing on the minds of people up here. Are we going to have water? Are we going to lose our water rights? What's going to happen with that? And people are concerned about that up here. So for us to continue growing and move forward, we've got to have these things nailed down to where people aren't questioning. So I appreciate every effort we can have to do that.
This is Supervisor Lucero. I just want to say I appreciate the fact that Steve is that you are attending these meetings, because they are not well attended. And I think this is a really appropriate letter. I agree with you. The State Water Resources Board is looking at this as other problem areas in the state, as Supervisor Connolly has mentioned. And I think it's a real possibility for Paradise to lose control over its own water. So I applaud the efforts.
Thank you. Mr. McGrean.
Steve, not only do I agree with all the other commenters' comments, but your letter is right on point. And not only that, in the materials that you provided as our agenda packet, if I'm to understand this correctly, supposedly there's a timeline where the draft report is supposed to be available as of today, which that makes me laugh. But anyway, if that turns out to be reality, can you get access to, you and the staff get access to that and share it accordingly? If you so desire with commission members, because I'd like to see what that's going to consist of.
Yes, I will stay involved as much as I can. I can't promise you that they share everything with me,
Right.
but what I do get, I will share with the commission, and I will continue to write. And I'll be like Mr. Connolly, and I maybe be too terse at times, but
Well, it's all right.
Are there any other commissioner comments? All right, I'm going to go to the public comment. I do see that we have a member of the public, Richard Harriman, would like to speak. His hand is up. I am allowing him to talk. Mr. Harriman, you are live. You can unmute yourself. Oh, excuse me. Before you start, Richard, go ahead, Al.
I apologize, Steve, and fellow commission members, but I have to run. I can't. You still have a quorum if I leave at this point in time.
Okay.
And I really do apologize. But I have another commitment I got to get to.
Okay, thank you.
So.
With that, Mr. Harriman, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas, and thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. I want to make a special point to commend Steve Lucas for the way he has participated in the PID option study, and I really support the commission's support for him in that effort. I would also add that I join in the comments by Commissioner Bolin, because I'm greatly concerned with the passage of AB 36 that which, as you recall from it having on your previous agenda, is to allow a form of fast tracking for the construction of both the Paradise Pipeline, where we may disagree, but on the PID pipeline, that's not a help. That's really a difficult situation, and the train is leaving the station. So to the extent that you all have access to the state legislator who carried that bill, I urge you to contact him and say it's sending a really bad mixed signal that if you're having a PID option study and you have a legislator going ahead and fast tracking legislation to build a pipeline that hasn't even been determined is going to be done, really, really concerns me. And I thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other public comments out there? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, I am closing the public comment. I think I have my direction from the commission, so unless there's any further direction, we will proceed. Next up on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. That's item number 5. So is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to something that we have not already discussed? I'm not seeing any hands going up. So I will move on to reports and communications, which is item 6.1, which is my executive officer's report. I'll try to make this brief. So first up is our favorite discussion of all time, which is trying to get special districts to vote somebody onto our illustrious panel. We are at a magic number of 20 right now, and we need one more vote in order to close the election and appoint new individuals, or maybe the same individuals. So we're hopeful that we will get that vote very shortly. In the meantime, all of those who are serving on expired terms continue to serve in that capacity. Second item under project notes, it's a bullet point. It's talking about a group that was formed in Paradise called Hold Our Water. I'm not terribly familiar with them. I kind of wish that Mr. Madrian had been on the call, but I think Mr. Bolin also might be familiar with this. They've reached out to me just for assistance in understanding the mechanics and processes of how things work at LAFCo and government agencies. I offered any assistance as I would any group. And at this point, I'm not certain that they have a particular issue in mind or something that they're moving on, but I just wanted to make you aware that they exist, and they are a local group of folks who are very interested in making sure Paradise's water stays in paradise. Mr. Boland, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, that's what they're thinking. There's deals being made. They're trying to find out there's deals being made behind the scenes that aren't becoming public. And you know, I'm not a part of the group. They asked me to be, and I was thinking about it, but I don't have the time for it, and I didn't think it would be a good time spent for me. But anyway, they're looking at, you know, is there something already decided that people don't know about and all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
Okay.
I appreciate you working with them.
Thank you. The next item up in that list is the Town of Paradise, City of Chico sewer line. There's not a lot of new information on there. I did provide the town's latest sewer update. So the process basically is right now in the environmental review stage, and we're just sort of sitting and waiting for the next step to occur. I think the biggest outstanding issue actually is this town and the city of Chico developing their contractual agreement as to how it's all going to work. At the end of the day, we won't really know what this is going to look like until the town of Paradise and the city of Chico have finalized a draft of what that cooperative relationship is going to be. Who's in charge of what, who pays for what, how it works. That's the nuts and bolts of how this will proceed, and I will stay involved with that throughout the process. I don't have anything else new and exciting to add. If there's any questions of me, I'm happy to try to answer them. All right, I will move on then to the next bullet point. Everybody's favorite subject, it seems lately, the proposed Tuscan Water District. I just want to update you on this. This is not a discussion about the application at all. I just want to give you an update of where we are. So at this point, the application is still being analyzed, evaluated, and we're preparing our staff analysis. And at this point, we are awaiting comments from the county as a whole, as well as a few other agencies who have yet to meet. One of those met yesterday. The Water Commission, Butte County Water Commission met after I didn't check my watch, but I didn't get home until 6:30. So I'm assuming they were a good 5-hour meeting almost. At the end of the day, that was the final vote to the Water Commission was 6 in favor and 3 opposed, and the motion was to send recommendations, advice to the Board of Supervisors that essentially supported the concept, along with some conditions that the Water Commission felt were very important. Should we consider those conditions when we approve it? I do look forward to holding a public information session at some point in September. Latter part of September, trying to coordinate that with farming community and harvest and such, but I don't have a particular date yet. I will tell the commission, we will post it and notice it, hopefully just to take public input. I don't expect that meeting to be pretty because no meeting so far has been. That's really all I have now on that item. It's beyond controversial at this point. A lot of people with a lot of opinions. And I'll honestly tell you that from what I've read and what I have seen in the meetings I've participated in, unfortunately, there's a tremendous amount of misinformation that's being presented to the public, which I don't think is fair or helpful to the process. But nonetheless, your LAFCo will continue to put out the facts as we know them, and continue processing this project. That's the update. If there's any questions for me.
I just want to make sure that I've got an open mind about this, and we'll continue to have an open mind. But the main thing that bothers me is the attack on the LAFCo process as if it was done wrong. And could you address how and reiterate, maybe Scott Brown can step in, that this was done properly per law?
Well, I'll run you through that process very quickly. Obviously, any landowner group, any registered voter group, any group of citizens at all can certainly get together, discuss issues, and decide that they want to move in a particular direction. These farmers did so, certainly at the direction of the county of Butte when they began. I don't think anything has changed there. They petitioned us to form the district. They provided us adequate petitions that were sufficient to allow the process to move forward. We are then sent out requests for comments to all related affected agencies, far and wide. This is probably one of the bigger distributions that Joy's probably ever had to do. And so we are now at the point of, and they accept, that application is being evaluated. There was some suggestion on the part of some individuals that somehow our application was in fault. It is not. I have received all the information that I believe necessary to move forward. As with any application, it is the lead agency's determination as to sufficiency and its completeness. I did find the application complete. There was one piece of information, a few pages that I inadvertently had left out of a posting on our website. It was immaterial to the process. It was not information that in any way, shape, or form changed the nature of the conversation. And all of that information was also contained in the rest of the application and a number of addendums. I will share with the commission that this is perhaps one of, I hear your concern, Commissioner Connolly, and this is one of the more complete applications we have ever received in terms of the amount of information provided. There seems to be a strong opinion among some that the application is all inclusive, that every question, every answer, everything that could possibly come up about this project somehow would be addressed in the application. For any of you who've been around planning for very long, you realize that's just not the case. The application is the starting point. And then it's up to your staff to determine what is needed beyond that to process the project. So in short, our application, I believe, is sound. It is legitimately been deemed complete, and that's where we are in the process. And I don't know if Scott wants to add to that.
No.
Thank you. Any other questions of me from the commission on that issue? Well, I will let you all know when we have our next that public informational session. I truly hope that Commissioner Kimmelshoe and Commissioner Lucero will join us as the two supervisors in question. Maybe we can bring Mr. Connolly along for muscle. I don't know.
No, again, I want to keep my mind open, and I've met with some of the people a long time ago on the farming side, and I'm meeting with some of the people with environmentalist concerns, including a meeting next week.
All right, well, that's what I have on that one. The next bullet point I want to discuss quickly, and it'll be my last, is the City of Oroville contractual services agreement with CAL FIRE. We kind of touched on that on the Feather Avenue project. Where we are right now is the City of Oroville, by resolution, requested a contractual arrangement with CAL FIRE, similar to Butte County, City of Biggs, City of Gridley, Town of Paradise. They have submitted that request to CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE will in turn make the application to LAFCo to approve that contractual agreement. That's the nature of the process. CAL FIRE presently is in the process of putting that paperwork together. Shannon's been on point for this whole thing, and I will say that this is the first time in the state that this particular law has been used. So Shannon's not only had to learn LAFCO from the start, she also has to learn a brand new law that nobody else has actually done. But I think she likes it. So that's where we are. And I expect that within the next, probably, what do you think, Shannon? Maybe next 30 days, we'll get something from CAL FIRE? Okay. So that's where we are with that. I'll report back more, but the commission ultimately has the authority to determine whether or not that contractual arrangement complies with the law. And we'll get there when we get there, but I don't expect we'll have that on an agenda probably for a couple of months at best. Let me just see if I missed anything of any value here. I will tell you, just as a real quick note, on the LAFCo annual conference, looks like, and Bill and I were supposed to be on a meeting this morning with Cal LAFCo, an executive meeting, but we chose our primary love, which is Butte LAFCO, and so we're here. But I'm assuming that and Bill, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're leaning towards canceling it this year and rolling it over the contracts till we don't have enough attendance moving forward. So in the story, it'd be a net money loser for Cal LAFCO to proceed. Too many people are concerned about COVID in October, and we're just not getting the registration. So there's nothing particular for the commission to deal with on that. I just wanted to let you know. On a related note, though, usually at that conference is when new directors are elected and appointed to take their seats at that time in October. I can tell you that Mr. Connolly's nomination has moved forward as to remain on Cal LAFCO as a county supervisor member. As of the close of nominations, there was he has no opponent. So I don't want to be premature, Mr. Connolly, but we'll wait until October, but it appears as though you will have yet another term. And what that means for the commission in terms of Bill's position is he's on the executive committee, and they move up through the seats until they eventually become chair. And I think Bill's next seat is vice chair. Am I correct? So
Yes.
Our goal is to get Butte LAFCO commissioner at the top of the chair of Cal LAFCO, and that's what we're shooting for. That's all I have for you folks this morning. If there's any other questions of me, let me have it.
Am I correct, Steve, that because the Cal LAFCO conference may not go forward, we will have a meeting on October 7th?
We could do that on October 7th. I do know that Mr. Brown is not going to be able to join us. If that concerns the commission or Mr. Brown, we can look for an alternative date, or we can go with the 7th and he can send his partner in crime up there.
Marcia Birch.
Scott, do you have a preference?
Well, it would really depend on what's on the agenda. If it's something highly controversial, I would prefer to be there. But if it's just a normal agenda, I think I would just let Marcia handle it and not disrupt your schedule.
How about if it's acceptable to the commission, I'll work through those mechanics and work with Mr. Leverins, and either we'll tentatively say October 7th with the possibility that we may have to alter that date. Does that work for everybody? Is that okay with you, Carl?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, unless that's any other further thoughts for me.
Steve, do you see that there's a hand raised?
Oh, I'm sorry, attendee, Richard Harriman. Okay, Mr. Harriman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas, and thank you, Shannon, for picking up my raised hand. I think you may have answered the question I was going to ask on the Tuscan Water District. Is that going to be scheduled for, can you tell us one way or another, or is that going to be something we won't learn until the week before?
I only heard the second part of that question.
Okay, what I was saying is the Tuscan Water District going to be on the October 7 meeting? And if so, how soon will we know, or will it just be the 72-hour notice that was required by the Brown Act? I think that's really important to know for the public.
It will not be on the October meeting.
Thank you very much. Now, the other thing I would like to do is make a comment, and it is one of the rare times when I've had to get crosswise with Mr. Lucas, and I hope I can do this respectfully between us and you all. I had two comments, and one is that I was one of the people who voted against the motion to recommend the Tuscan Water District before the Board of Supervisors. And that's something I did as a water commissioner. But what I was concerned about from the public's point of view, and I know that Mr. Lucas has addressed this, but I'm concerned that looking at the Butte County LAFCO policies and procedures, that there was a failure to comply with it by Mr. Lucas. And rather than bushwhacking him and you by waiting until the hearing on the Tuscan Water District. We wanted to raise it, and I think it was raised respectfully. And so I just want to put your commission on notice that Mr. Lucas and I disagree, and the documentation that will go to the Board of Supervisors for your September 14 meeting is very detailed with regard to that issue that was raised by Commissioner Amy Raymond, and it's very well documented. So that's my point. And the other issue that I would like to raise is that I think it's inappropriate for staff to make the comment, which staff believes that much misinformation was dispensed. Steve may be absolutely right, but if that's the case, it shouldn't be made in a broad scale statement like that. And I think what may be perceived as overly aggressive by your executive officer is nothing more than a very, very vigorous debate. It's a very divisive issue. There is nothing wrong with having principled debate and argument about the merits of a proposal that's going to come before the Board of Supervisors and will become before this commission. So the reason for my making this comment, and I hope my tone of voice has been respectful, and always difficult for me to get crosswise with your executive director, but I think that's a point that needs to be made because there was material that was left out of the application that was provided to our Water Commission. And that's a problem for the public, and it's a problem for us. And that issue was developed before the Water Commission. It will be developed further before the Board of Supervisors. It will be done respectfully and professionally and on the merits. And I appreciate the opportunity to comment. And I'm sorry to have to do it, Steve, but I need to do it. So thank you for listening to me.
All right. Well, that is all I have on the agenda. If anybody is last chance, or I'm going to adjourn the meeting. We will tentatively adjourn to October 7th, pending review of the commission's agenda. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for all your hard work.